Well, thank you everyone for joining us in whatever capacity you've joined us from. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, wherever you are. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
of the United States of
of the
America,
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 1.3 is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the agenda is approved. Item 1.4 is input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any, and discussion of those comments. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Does anyone wish to make a comment? Anyone that's hiding that we don't know about joined us? All right. Item 2.1 is review and discuss the superintendent search items for possible action. So I will give a quick update. Deb has made more phone calls and eliminated more applicants, potential candidates that she says did not fit the criteria we initially gave her when we had our training. And she is putting together a homework packet for everyone that will be arriving in your email to put together basically a rubric for what we want in the superintendent once we, anyway, so we all have the same thing to look at once we have resumes and applications to go over, so that we're all using the same scorecard and we're not just using whatever we feel like. So that should be arriving soon. As far as the calendar goes, we are on schedule for the same calendar. We will still close on the 31st, and we will just press forward with the original schedule. Our first round of interviews, once we go through and determine who we want to do the Zoom interviews with. We were ahead of the game and we already had Zoom interviews planned. So we are totally set for that, and we will do that, and hopefully by the time we're ready to bring candidates in and have face-to-face interviews, we will be able to do so. If not, we will adjust at that time. So does anybody have any questions or guidance for Deb?
I have a question, Teresa.
Yes.
Are we still on for the workshop then next Tuesday, or has that been canceled, rescheduled?
All right, so we are still, we are still on for that, but rather than doing it face-to-face, we will probably do it just like this. We will do it via Zoom so that we can all get that same training, the interview training, but Deb will not travel here. She will join us in this same format.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions or guidance for Deb or for anybody else? Any other thoughts? All right. There's no other action we need to take except be prepared to look up that packet when Deb sends it to you so that we can get that rubric together and be ready to look over applications and resumes. I don't think we need to vote on anything. That's just information that you need to know. All right, item 2.2 is discuss the district procedures dealing with COVID-19.
Okay, want me to go?
Please.
The last 9 days have felt like about 2 months, but we're surviving. Our teachers are reaching out, offering learning opportunities to our kids. Some teachers are getting their Google Classroom up and ready so they can, my wife has a class meeting scheduled tomorrow with, and she's going to see how many kids are going to engage in that. We're hitting the ground here. This is the uncharted waters, if you will, but we're trying to find out what kids need and what families need. We're feeding a lot of kids, which is good. We have a daily, well now it's going to 3 times a week. The county has a emergency operations committee And that's all the entities together, the fire, the police, the sheriffs, college, us. Bobby, chime in. Who else? Who am I missing?
Thinking-
Wait, I miss anybody, Bobby?
I don't think so. I was processing, but I don't think you missed anybody.
Well, we get together we're going to get together 3 times a week from now on and discuss what's going on as far as, hospital's also part of that. Just to make sure we're utilizing our resources that we have. They asked us to do some inventory on our resources, and we really don't have a lot of the PPE resources that they're looking for, obviously, like masks and ventilators or whatever. So it's good to work with them. We've opened up, obviously we have facilities if they need them, and people. So we're on that. Got something from Washoe County today, Washoe County School District regarding board meetings. Just received it prior to this board meeting that the governor has directed board meetings to be done virtually, have public comment go over email only, which would go to Jim as the clerk, and then they would not have a public place to gather for this. So next board meeting, we'll be doing this, but everybody will be at home.
So I need to get internet.
Well, I feel like if you need to come up here, we would okay
I might
that.
have to do that.
We would okay that.
I have a
Tim.
feeling it's pretty hard to get internet right now. I'm on a
Yes.
waiting list, we'll put it that way.
I'll open the door for you. Just keep your distance.
I should have never got rid of it.
Yeah.
My kids are so much better without it though.
Sunday, I got a hold of Teresa so she could sign our emergency request for distance learning. And what this did was it opened the door and it eased the statute on distant learning so that we could provide not only virtual but paper and pencil learning lessons to kids that do not have the internet. And that's what, we're facing, not only us, but every district in the state. So that's why we're fortunate that we can do these things, or we would be going to school probably in July. So hopefully we can get some things together. We're working on a plan now to add a little more, I guess, routine or rigor into our lessons. And we still have spring break planned for the same time. We can't change that due to negotiations. So we'll have that. But we want to really be prepared to hit it right after spring break with more intense lessons and just offering our kids things to keep those skills where they need to be.
The mandatory closure is still the 16th of April.
It is. It aligns with the month long that the governor, he came out and said, yes, the schools are on that same closure until and it's actually until the chief medical officer of the state or whatever agrees that the transmission risk is low in certain geographical areas. I think that's how they stated it. So we're gonna get an update. We're supposed to get an update every week. So I'll keep you guys in the loop as well.
So I have had people ask if someone has internet at home but does not have sufficient devices, are there going to be devices available from the school?
Yes, we are. That's why we're contacting parents to find out what they need.
Okay.
And to let them know we have paper, pencil, supplies at schools. But we do have technical devices, Chromebooks, that will be made available on a checkout.
Okay.
So, hope we get them back.
Yeah.
We will.
And long term, if this goes on, is there a plan B for like next fall, filling positions?
Well, we're going to continue hiring. Principals are calling people right now we still have people applying.
Oh, okay.
We made it to a couple of recruiting fairs, and we actually have people applying from South Dakota and Wyoming right now, and we have principals I know that are calling, trying to set up some virtual interviews and get some things going.
Good.
Yeah. But it does throw a monkey wrench into things when it's all in person, so. What am I missing, Bobby?
Well, I know our school staff have been working really hard to ensure that our schools are deep cleaned while we're out of school, and including our transportation services, and we've been following CDC guidelines really closely. And I know we have a plan to do that again prior to school starting. I think it's really important that everybody continues to practice their social distancing and is careful and conscientious during this time. I think that's critical. It's easy to look around and think, oh, everything looks fine, and then you turn on the news and it's a little bit crazy. But I think it's really important to do our part and do what we can to get us through this pandemic.
Do we have a good protocol for cleaning the inside of buses? And obviously, CDC's probably sent out something with regards to that, but where are we at with that?
We've worked real closely. I think we're good. Go ahead, Todd. Sorry.
I was just going to say that Seth has been going to all the different communities. I know he's headed to Wells the other day with somebody to clean those buses as well. So he's getting out, he's making sure his people are taking care of those.
And
Okay.
Todd, I had a couple questions. The question I'm getting the most is there a plan in place for kids to graduate this year? I mean, how is that going to shake out with graduation? Are they going to still be able to graduate? And is there going to be an extension to the school year to make up for time lost?
The first question, if they're going to graduate, this will not negatively affect any student, this closure. That was given to us by the state superintendent. So yes, we do have some kids that are working on credit recovery that we are contacting individually to continue to work on that, because that is a virtual distance learning thing that they've been on, since the semester. Second question was, will we go longer? Due to the fact that we had this emergency request approved by the state, we will not have to make up this time. So we will not go past our last day as of right now.
Okay, thanks.
June 5th, I think, is our last day. That help?
Yes, thank you.
You bet.
I have another question. Applications for scholarships. Do we have the guidance department still working to get applications out and get those gathered back in? Moving towards the end of the school year, there's a considerable amount of scholarship money out there. If you look at Elko High School and Spring Creek, as well as Wells and all the other outlying areas, have we got something in place to deal with those particular scholarships and get those distributed to the seniors at each of those schools?
I'll have Mr. McEnany reach out to those principals so that we can make sure that's going to happen.
Okay.
We'll probably have to do that via email to those kids, I'm assuming. I know we can do a blast email to all kids.
Sure.
Would be good.
I think the guidance department to have most of those seniors for the senior newsletters, and they could get that out there. If, and I'm assuming the counselors, if they come back in, any mail that comes in with those applications, they'd be able to deal with that.
I can comment that I actually had a positive comment. A parent let me know the other day that her kid was contacted personally by their counselor from their high school in regard to their scholarship applications and assuring them that they're taking care of some of the submissions that otherwise they would have counted on kids for. So it's come up and it's being looked at.
Very good.
And I can comment on that as well. I know that at Elko High School, Ms. Canepa was there today because I had her looking up some information that I needed for a report that Todd asked me to do, and that also they're processing scholarships apps and getting transcripts out as requested on those things. So again, you know, everybody's still working. They're just working a little different.
Good. Good.
Yesterday, I had a meeting with most of the board chairs from around the state, and there were a couple of things that came up. Some suggestions that some of the other board presidents had, the way they're dealing with things. Do we have any buses that have Wi-Fi capability?
I think our trip buses do,
Okay,
yes.
because one of the things that Fallon said they're doing is they're parking their buses in different locations so that kids can come and,
Hotspots.
you know, use them as hotspots. And a lot of the local businesses have also opened up their Wi-Fi so kids can come and park near their businesses and use them as hotspots as well. So I thought that was, you know, a pretty good suggestion from the community of Fallon.
Right.
If we've got, you know, businesses or our buses and we have issues with kids having internet access at home.
We also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we also had some discussion about allowing students to, you know, a limited number come by the schools and, you know, 2 in a room or 1 in, or whatever the case may be, or even out close to the school so they could have access if they needed it. So but that is a great idea, using the buses. I don't know how it works, I have no idea, but,
It's all off of cellular, so it's gonna just depend on how,
okay.
where, you know, and how much. Because I think we have a limit to do a gig a day right now, so I probably have to up that, but we should be able to do it.
Right. And I don't know if we would have that need, but I thought that was an interesting suggestion and something that they had implemented there. And then, have there been any, what's the word I'm looking for? Any policies that have held us up as far as being able to do things that we might need to, you know, suspend or anything of that nature during this time, or are policies holding out okay? And
I think we're okay receiving that emergency request for emergency distance learning program has helped us. But I can't. The only thing that I would like to see is, you know, Spring Creek. We're really in need of a meal site, but we don't qualify out there. So that's the only thing. I know Communities and Schools has been helping out, and they have contacted many kids out there as well and distributed food. But Mr. McEnany and Steve over at Charwell have been kind of pounding the table a little bit with the feds, and as of right now, we can't open one out there, but with other communities we are.
What's the qualification?
I believe, Chris, you can chime in. I believe it's 40%.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Mr. Wines, so technically you can run the SSO program, which is feeding kids during closures, if your school is 50% free and reduced lunch. All right, so what that did for us, it allowed Southside, Oahe, Jackpot, and the Wendover schools right at the beginning of this to run that. After I explained to the people at the NDA, well, that's fantastic. However, I'm not having people, say, from Wells drive 100 miles round trip into Elko to go to Southside to pick up their meals. So after some arm twisting and cajoling, I got them to lower that to 40% FRL, which allowed Carlin and Wells to activate those programs as well to feed those kids. The only school let me rephrase that, the highest FRL rate in Spring Creek is at Sage, and they are 37% FRL. So as of right now, the NDA is refusing to allow us to open up a food service site at Sage. However, there is some emergency grant funding that we've requested, and as soon as we get preliminary okay for that, that money is going to go directly to opening up the Sage Kitchen. But we're just waiting on approval for that.
Is there any way that we could take and be able to monitor which kids are actually getting those lunches to guarantee to the NDA that we're not giving away to kids that don't qualify?
So as of right now, due to the way that we're passing out meals following the guidelines, we really can't. However, any meal that is given away at those sites is assumed to be to an FRL kid and is 100% reimbursable.
Okay.
So even if we have kids coming out of the woodwork trying to snag a free school lunch meal,
Yeah.
Then that's a whole different issue, but it is being reimbursed at this point.
I was just thinking of a way to get around the NDA requirement. If they've allowed 40%, we're right up against that with Sage. So
any kid that is FRL is allowed to come in to the closest food service site. And therein lies the problem, right? I mean, that means kids have to drive in from Spring Creek to the nearest school, which would be Southside, to get their meal. And for some of these kids that are on FRL, that 10 to 12 mile drive is insurmountable. And those are the arguments that I've been having with the NDA folks. And, again, those talks are ongoing is what I can say. I don't think we're dead in the water yet.
Ready for your work through all this. This is definitely an interesting time. Anything else on this particular item? Okay, we'll move on to 2.3, receipt review and possible acceptance of the bid for the Wells Mechanical Upgrade, Phase 1.
Is having a hard time getting permits for things like this?
Got this one
County.
prior to,
They should be. It would be through the city of Wells,
That's what
which as far as I know, they're still open, limited but open. I know the county is still issuing permits. Inspections are gonna be tricky. That's the part where we're picking up, but
I know there's still, we're digging over here at Elko High. But I don't know how that's gonna affect, we can apply for permits, I bet, and maybe get them. I don't know how that's gonna work. Good question. Is Casey on?
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Casey.
All these permits were applied for and we received most of them prior to this chaos of the coronavirus. So we're moving forward with all these.
Perfect. There's your answer.
No picture of Casey on the big screen.
Casey, I had a couple questions. Actually, a request and a question. So the bid that's come in is it's way over bid, right? Because for this year, the Phase 1 was actually budgeted for $400,000. Is that correct?
It was, that was just an estimate at that time. The engineer's estimate came in right at $1 million for this work. We're doing a little bit more than we initially planned.
Okay, and then, because weren't we supposed to combine this with the ADA upgrade to kind of try to help bring the costs down? Or am I thinking of a different?
At the elementary, yes. We're adding a new ADA elementary restroom. That will be constructed this year.
And so that's not part of this bid, however, correct?
It's part of this bid. It's just a very small part.
Oh, okay, so it is part of this bid, but it's just a small part of it, okay? So the way things are looking to me is a lot of this stuff lately has been coming in over budget. So I'm just kind of wondering if it would be possible for you to revisit that 5-year plan and maybe make some adjustments, especially now that we approved a huge budget increase for the auditorium and things like that. Maybe just give us a look at what we've spent to date on our plan and what projects are getting pushed back and that sort of thing. Just wondering if you could maybe redo that plan and so that we can have a better snapshot of where we're at financially with the pay-as-you-go.
Absolutely. I do that every spring. So we'll come back probably in June with the approval from the board for the new capital improvement plan. It changes every year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet.
Like to proceed.
Madam Chairman?
Where do
Oh,
we
go
start
ahead,
today?
Ira.
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay. I move that the board accept the best bid for Wells Mechanical Upgrade Phase 1 submitted by Ormaza Construction and conditionally award the contract subject to the timely submission to the district legal counsel of all documents required by the instructors to bidders, including 1, the signed contract, 2, proof of required insurance, 3, issued performance bond, 4, issued payment bond, and 5, completed project apprenticeship report.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, chair votes aye, and that is approved. Item number 2.4 is review and possible approval of the updated policy JHF student travel. Update number 3.
Update number 3, third time's a charm, right? And we have, I guess, something in there that states any alteration to the above specified chaperone coverage requirement must be approved by the superintendent or their designee, and that is what was requested, so there you have it. Nothing else has been changed since the last reading, and we will fix that format. I just noticed it was centered.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move to adopt policy JHF, student travel as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? All right, chair votes aye, and that policy is approved. Item 3.1 is our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and our consent agenda is approved. Item 4.1 is a report from our NASB director.
The only thing I have is the standardized testing has been waived.
Hallelujah. Let's keep that going.
That was one of the first ones to get their request in. Joan Ebert, the state superintendent, she was, I guess there's some states that still haven't applied. Anyway, one of those things we may find out we can do without.
I think so. I hope so.
And you may have more to add with your
All right. And
teleconference with.
yeah, and the things that, with that conference I had yesterday have already been discussed. One of the big things was the guideline about public meetings. We had to make sure we still provide a way for the public to participate, but there does not need to be a location. And so that was a big change. I know some boards are just putting their meetings off until this is over, or they hope it's over. But I feel like with, us looking for a superintendent and making sure we keep everybody moving in that regard, we're just gonna press on. So I don't have anything in addition to what has already been discussed. So any guidance, any questions for Ira? All right. Item number 4.2 is items from board members.
I'd just like to commend everybody, central office, food service. And it's a tough deal to things are definitely upside down, and I think everybody's doing a pretty good job. From what I've heard and what I've seen, commendable.
Has been interesting.
Right. I had a couple of questions with regards to the contracts that we currently have out, and I don't know if Casey can address this, or if Todd, you might be able to. The science building project, as well as the fine arts, it's proceeding on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and with this, the temporary shutdown that we've got right now, what are the thoughts with regards to this contract for the wells upgrade? Can they get started? Can we give them a notice to proceed as soon as possible and take advantage of getting in there and getting some of this work done? Obviously, there's the thought that in April, school may resume, then again, school may not resume at that point. Are we going to try to move forward with this project or have to wait until June?
We can't do any physical work on site until June. The reason why we bid it early and award it early is so we can order the long lead items. They can arrive in time for construction season in June.
Okay, so we're still hung up with the notice to proceed, whether that's with permits or something else?
Well, once you've approved it like you did tonight, we will give the notice to proceed as early as tomorrow, and they'll
Okay.
be long lead items.
Okay. I had one other person contact me that was interested in finding out if facilities might be available. I forwarded an email to Teresa and to Todd. I think isn't that a federal statute that if like the Department of Health needs the area, we could provide gymnasiums for them to make temporary hospitals and things like that? Is that correct, or did I have bad information?
I don't know if it's a federal thing, but we would obviously do that. If they needed it, we'd help out in any way we could.
Okay.
I'd volunteer you.
There you go. I'll be a crossing guard there in front of the new hospital.
All right, any other items from board members? I went and helped hand out lunches at Southside on whatever day we started. These days
Wednesday.
all kind of run together. And it was interesting. We had a couple people come over from Spring Creek, but a lot of people just really grateful to have that service still available. And got to talk to Sarah with Communities in Schools and, the principal and, a lot of different people that were involved. And like Ira said, everybody's just making things roll forward, and it's pretty awesome to see our district just mobilize and be flexible and make things happen, even in times when we're experiencing some that educators just haven't experienced before in this area, or I don't know if anybody that works in the district has ever experienced something like this. So just congratulations to our district for all the work they're doing, the teachers that are reaching out to kids and the opportunities that are being made available. Well done. Okay, anything else from board members? All right, item number 5.1 is our superintendent's report.
And you obviously can see there's nothing there.
We've discussed it all.
And I just want to piggyback, Teresa, on what you had to say. I've been pretty proud of our crew, all of us. I've heard zero, no, I can't do that. I've heard, we'll get it done, we'll get it done. I've been pleased with everything that's been going on. People are very, they just are doing it. There's no questions, we're just taking care of business. So pretty pleased, and I want to thank the central office crew. I know Mac's been with me almost every day up here working on stuff, and and also my directors and Mike, and it's pretty darn cool to see this happening. Not the virus thing, but it's cool to see us all come together like this, if you want to hear positive. And I'm hoping that I don't have a teleconference this weekend. That's my goal, is not to have a phone conference with anybody this weekend, so don't call me, please.
All right, any questions or guidance for Mr. Pearson?
Keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
Exactly. All right. Moving on to item number 6, approval of accounts payable.
I move to approve the accounts payable.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, abstentions? I'll be abstaining as always. All right, no discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? All right, accounts payable are approved. Item number 7 is a final opportunity for public comment. All right, we gave them long enough. Here we go. Item number 8 is adjournment of the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Oh.
I'm the one that gets
The lag
to
is
go.
great. This makes it work great. All right, this sounds like everyone's ready to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed, nay? I'm assuming that was in favor of adjournment. All right, chair votes aye and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you again in a few weeks in the same format.